Did you hear that? Hello, I am Ro, and this is the Range of Expression podcast. And today I have a special guest. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, everyone out there. My name is Jawan Muldrow, otherwise known as J Wandoe, as you may see on your screen. I'm sure she'll tag me. And yeah, I'm here. I'm honored myself to be a part of the Range of Expression podcast, Rose podcast. Whether we'll make it to YouTube, IG, wherever you see me, welcome. I feel welcome. Thank you for having me on your
No,
platform.
I'm very honored to have you here to talk and discuss about your ways of expressing yourself and contributing back to society. Um, I'm grateful that you reached out to me. I'm grateful to have this opportunity because I don't take this lightly at all. So I'm grateful for your time. And I'll try not to have you here for a
Oh,
long time.
I'm here for
Just
you.
be here for
So
2 hours. If you're
uh,
here for 3 hours, we'll just be here for
sure,
two
cool.
hours. And
Let's
that's
make it
fine.
happen. Just let it flow. However it's gonna flow, let's make it happen.
And okay, so let's start by talking a little bit about like how we, have come to know each other because I think that's really important. I've
Yes,
known um Waldro.
Wando. Just call me Dro. You know me as Dro. This talk like we ain't hadn't talked in 15 years. Like this
Okay,
talk
no,
like
I call him Dro,
mhm.
right? I know him as Dro, but he has then been transformed and has evolved into someone who is different. So if I say Dro, forgive me. That's just what I know him by. But you guys know him by something else, which is fine. But like I will address him as Dro because we know each other. This is my friend for over what 15 years now, I think.
Yeah, 2006.
2006. And so we know each other based off of the military. I'm active duty Air Force and he is a veteran. And so, yes. So we met at Moody.
Valdosta, Georgia. If y'all don't know about Valdosta, that's South Georgia and kind of North Florida, even though it's in Georgia, it's a little mashup, mixed up
Yeah.
city. Some big names have come out of there as far as sports. Obviously, the military base is there. They call it Titletown because of the high school. Um, it's similar to my hometown, which is Florence, South Carolina. That's where I'm from. I am a veteran, as she mentioned. I'm married. I have 3 kids, 2 daughters, two and a son that's 1 years old. My daughters are 12 and 6, and my son's 1. And yeah, I've been I was in the military from 2006 to 2015 when I separated. Since then, I've just been all over the world, just from Japan to England, and now I'm back in the States where I feel like I can make. I made impacts in other places, but I feel like here is where I've learned to appreciate what I've been through by landing back here, which is San Antonio, Texas, and able to basically come back where I started. If you were in the Air Force at all, it's probably 100% that you went to basic training in San Antonio, Texas. But this is actually the actual city. So this is coming back to my roots as far as the military.
And it's definitely like full circle,
Yeah,
right?
for
Like
sure.
you're starting somewhat a new chapter. And when we first came in, that was like us starting our journey.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's a little bit of
Oh,
full
wow.
circle.
I didn't even, and I thought about it, in a way, but this perspective is beautiful. So yes, I appreciate you putting it that way.
No
That's
problem.
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
This is what I'm here for.
Yeah, that's why you do what you do. Why you are who you are. So,
So I definitely want to talk about what it is that you're currently doing. You also have your own podcast. So can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what's the name of your podcast?
mhm.
What is um, the driving force behind it? Like, why did you want to create it? And what can we get from it? I know it's a lot of questions in one, but
No, it's all good. I can keep up.
dice
Uh,
it.
so where I start with what I will start with is my initial reasoning for wanting to do a podcast. I was always a person who would talk to people on the side. I've always been like a coach. I've always been a person who maybe I play basketball. I play. That's probably one of my favorite sports. It's probably one of the sport I actually feel I'm good at that I would play regularly. And I was that player where I didn't have to make a shot. I just don't want to be in the game.
Mm.
I would make the right passes best I could. If I need to shoot, I'll spray a couple from deep or mid range if I need to. But that probably sounded crazy, especially in this era. But but I've always been one to be a facilitator, and so in life I've also been that as well. I've always been someone that I'll say I kept secrets. I've always been a person who has shown expression myself. So why not do it publicly? Why
Right.
not reach out to certain people like you and I who haven't we y'all probably not going to even understand. We literally just talked today, just passing Juneteenth for the first time since then. So if you think about where you were in life in 2006, 7, whatever, that was the last time we even had a conversation. So we kept up
That's,
with each other through
that's
online.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so a lot of people aren't alive. A lot of people are, in their own world. So that's just amazing in itself. That's a blessing actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. Use that as an outlet to reach out to people. So initially, I started with a podcast with two of my cousins, two females. They're both my first cousins, but one first cousin on my mom's side, and the other one's my first cousin on my dad's side. So my mom's niece and my dad's niece.
Mhm.
We came up with a podcast called Distant Cousins Podcast, The Family Tree, and
I like.
the premise of it was basically what it sounds like. You got people, they're distant. We're distant in not only geographically, but also from different sides of the family. And I've always been, well, I'm the oldest cousin. So I kind of held everything together. I'm top of the pyramid in a sense.
Mhm.
And what we did was through a couple conversations together like this, terrible mics, terrible like sound. It was just bad. I was in England at the time, living in Oxford, England, with my wife and my two children at the time. So I always have to wait. I was always have to wait until they got home. So I'm up 10, 11 o'clock after being up with my youngest kids and, all day and then have to record. So it wasn't the greatest environment.
Yeah.
And so that didn't really last like I didn't do what I wanted it to do. It was from July of I want to say 21 to like maybe like 4 or 5 months. It wasn't that long. I have to go back and check for dates. So after we kind of start fizzling out, couldn't get scheduling done, I said, you know what, I'm going to do my own thing. I asked a friend of mine, um, pretty much my brother. I asked him, hey, I got this idea. Let's do it. We never worked it out. So in around April, May 2022,
Mhm.
maybe June, but right around about 2 years ago, I said, you know what, I'm just gonna do it myself, and that's what I did. I came up with a title called the DOE Spot, DADOE Spot. My name is Jawan, first name, so that's the J, and then Juan, Joan. But I didn't want to include the Dro because I grown from Dro, from the military version of myself, from the person who was always very um, frivolous with my time, and uh, I had to disconnect a little bit. Yes, I evolved in a way, but yeah, I got married. I've had kids. These are things I wasn't doing. I wasn't my focus when I was drove in that mindset I had.
Mhm.
Plus, a lot of people didn't know where I was. So the Wandoe came from Waldo, which was a character, the little white guy with the glasses, who, when you look in the map, you look around the globe, it's like, where's Waldo? So I just took that and flipped it. So if you look on my first episode, I won't get copyrighted. I stole the picture from it. I put my face in his place, and it's like, "Where's Wando?"
Yeah.
So many people would ask me, "Where you at? Where you at? How'd you get over there?" Well, my wife's active duty, so she's able to. I move with her, and that's a
Mhm.
whole nother conversation. Or we can get into that as well. Being
Yeah.
the male spouse, which you rarely see. You rarely see the male not being the sole provider, the breadwinner in the family. Even though I was making money, I was working jobs. I get disability from the VA, so I was able to kind of sustain that part, but I wasn't working. And I think
Right.
most people look at that, it's like, man, at the house, you're supposed to play this role, and that's not always the case.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's my podcast has been. I think I've recorded maybe 15 or so episodes. I've posted some, I took some away. I've done interviews with people who, well, one person, and shout out to her, shout out to Jocelyn, who was the first person to say, I trust you, let's do it. We recorded over FaceTime audio, and it sounded terrible. And she would end up telling me, hey, I don't really, she was going through her own transformation at the time. So she ended up telling me, hey, I don't want you to, post it. And I pulled it because I'm not one of those people that'd be like, nah, I'm gonna keep it up there. We didn't sign anything. It was just almost like a handshake deal.
Mhm.
And so that one won't be on there unless she comes to me later and say, hey, you mind putting that up? Because her life has changed a lot too. So again, shout out to her. She's since gone into the military herself, and
Awesome.
she's living her life great. And I hope she sees this one day. And I'm just shouting her out, saluting her. Another person who also shouted me out was my boy Greg Hood. I've since worn his clothes. I've because when we were talking, and I'm speaking this ahead, but he started a clothing line which he didn't have at the time. This is 2 years ago again, and he was talking. We were literally talking about. I one of my episodes, but what happens when you go viral, or what happens when you actually blow up? And he was
Right.
like, well, I'll have some merch or something. And I'm like, well, if you don't have merch, so how can you promote something you don't have? And he was just like, well, should I just kind of make something up? So now, having that foresight, he now has merch. Like, so now he has something to promote when he goes viral. I say when, because he's on his way.
Right.
But him, I don't know if you remember, I mentioned his name, Bostic, and these people I'm naming their names because they're if you take the time to listen to the podcast, you will hear these names. So I'm not bringing anyone up that haven't already introduced themselves. But my boy Marcus, yeah, they've been solid. And my point was always to have a guest though, because I don't like sitting there looking at a camera just talking to myself. I just can't stand that. So I'd rather have some dialogue. So
Right.
my with your role, my DOE is an acronym for discussions of experience.
That's
So we pretty much have a very similar or
We're
experiences.
we're like on
Yeah,
the same wavelength.
exactly.
It's
And
just
and it happened around the same time, like a year or two ago. We just didn't. Now we can align it and combine it together, and it's a beautiful thing. So hopefully that gave you a nice little rundown. I don't know how long I was talking, but
don't even,
that's the podcast.
don't look at the
Check
clock.
it
Don't
out.
rush it because if it's too much, we can
I got to
condense.
give the people. This is my first time having where I'm able to tell being recorded because I talk about this all the time, and I sometimes feel like people not saying they don't not listening, but they got so many other things going on. So I appreciate you allowing me to have this platform to be able to explain it in detail. It's not
Yeah.
a story, it's not a post. This is me talking to people,
Mhm.
and we don't get that a lot. We don't have that open space for it. So
Yeah. And that's
I
what I
appreciate it.
wanted. That's what I wanted to create is like a space for, entrepreneurs or creators in general just to come on and talk about, themselves and really like give a detailed explanation as to why,
Bye.
like why. A lot of times we support businesses, we support so many different things, and we don't even know the people behind what
Mhm.
created said business or said, creatives. Like we just don't know. And so I just wanted to do that.
You doing
I'm a
it?
creator myself, like I'm
Yeah.
a poet, and I like to say undercover poet because I don't really post my work like I should, but I am working on that.
So,
Um,
so let me ask your why. Why is that? Why do you feel like I can go on YouTube or go on Instagram, I can post stories, I can express myself
yeah.
like I want other people to do, but then I'm not completely fully committed to doing it for myself. So why do we do that? Because I battle myself.
I think because Erica Badu when she's like, I'm an
I'm an
artist,
artist.
I'm sensitive about my shit.
Absolutely.
Basically that. Like, those are pieces of me that I'm like giving the world, if you will, like just
Sure.
in this space. And so, I'm a little sensitive. So you come back and be like, I don't really like this, or the case may be, like, it's not for you. So
That's
don't worry about it.
and that's the part I can't stand because people won't say they don't like it. I need feedback. I need you to tell me like it was a lot. I couldn't hear you, or like let me know so I can correct it. But if you're not, this is another part of kind of what I'm doing. I'm a teacher, or I'm an aspiring teacher. I have recently graduated from with my bachelor's in social work, and last year, and since then I've been waiting for my master's program to be approved. But since then, I've been a substitute teacher at a um, the charter school, and that really, looking at your background, like looking at all this, imagine and believe and cheat. That's things I teach. Like I try to give kids that imagination and even discourage them from being just a teacher. Like you don't have to look at me in my life and say that's great and awesome, because it could be to someone, but you can do so much more. Like you can be so much. You can still teach, but be at UCLA or Stanford or anywhere. Not or here. At an elementary school, you can still be impactful even in your little space. So when I hear you talk about your art and these conversations right here, Black man, Black woman, married, children, like we don't talk enough. We don't really have a lot of people to talk about our issues, military, veteran. It's being from the South, all these things that it's attributes about us that shape us and make us who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't have the conversations. We might like a picture. We call that support.
Right.
This is support. This is real support right here.
Mm-hmm.
So having these type of platforms, and the fact that both of us have it, so you pull your friends together, I pull, we can make some noise.
You sure can.
And who cares who hears it? Who cares that this? I like to call mine my audio journal. So, because that's what it really is. I'm allowing you into my house right now, into my innermost feelings, to my background. I'm giving you damn near everything except my social security number. Like I'm not really hiding who I am, because again, military, people are gonna see you, people are gonna say what they're gonna say about you, how you look.
But honestly, like people gonna say stuff regardless if you do or if you don't. And so like that's why I'm really pushing myself to just do it regardless, because if you don't do anything, people gonna say stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter, right?
Especially when you bring it to them like, I'm starting a podcast, and then you don't post it for like 3 months. Like, why you even bring that up?
Why even bring it up? But we're gonna do better, and we're gonna be consistent. This consistency is key,
right?
And that's what I like to focus on. So I have another podcast as well, so not just this one. It's with two beautiful queens, Queen Essence and Queen Frankie Joe, on the Queen Vibes Lounge. And so that whole podcast is a beautiful platform. Like we're usually on TikTok Live, and we have people that come on sometimes as well, like with their businesses and stuff, and we talk to them, or sometimes other times we listen to music, or we taste food, and we comment about it and stuff like that. So like that platform is what that is, and I absolutely love them, and so I definitely want to shout them out. Hi, Queens.
Shout out to the Queens.
But that in itself is a blessing, because I'm so consistent with them, because we are on our podcast at least once a week, every single week, and it's been like that since this past January 2024.
Nice.
And so that's one of the things that I like to pray to ask God to help me work on, is just being consistent, or just being committed to the things that I may not want to be outwardly doing. And so I hope to be the same way with my podcast, is to be more consistent.
Hey, and you bring up God, which a lot of people don't when they talk about things.
Wow.
This is really ministry. This is ministry. This is a form of ministry. This is probably everything that we've been trying to avoid. I say most of our lives. We've spoken to y'all. We've spoken off camera like earlier about our families, our upbringing, and how we're looked at and viewed as a certain type of people. like I mentioned, I'm one of the oldest. I'm the oldest grandchild on both sides. My oldest grandson on my dad's side, and the oldest out of like all the grandkids, and the
Mhm.
oldest child and son on my mom's side.
Yeah.
So having that feeling of like, wow, you really have that survivor's remorse, and at least I do. Imposter syndrome I've gone through. Um, and it's not because I feel that way, it's because I'm viewed that way. Like you made it out. So you come home and you don't do certain things, or I can't tell you certain things because you're gonna judge me. So it's
No.
like all these, and I'm not speaking on these and as a present mind. These are the things I've heard over the years. So I'm just reflecting, like, yeah, I've been through trauma things, but I'm not in that anymore. So don't hear this and say, oh, here comes another person who needed, can't still living in their childhood. But at the same time, that's a good thing that I can talk about it, because at one point I didn't feel like I could
Mm.
express myself in that way.
And I will say this, like it's awesome to see like a black man be able to be transparent and honest and be able to say like, hey, I wasn't this back then, but I'm in a new season where I am expressive and I do have feelings and I do have trauma and I am working through them and I'm not perfect, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to be an example, not for, just myself and my family and my kids, but like, you're a teacher, you're an aspiring teacher now. So like you're about to be influencing a whole classroom of children who would be the future.
Us one day, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so
No,
like
that's
I just
great.
can't,
I
I can't let
appreciate
it
that.
go. Like to just think about where we were 15 years ago in a dorm.
I don't remember, like vaguely.
Uh,
I don't
I mean,
remember what I
I
said to
don't remember,
people.
I don't remember, but like
All
just
right,
by itself, like we were that, and now
but
we're
we're here.
this.
Yeah. So
We're
the good thing about the military, a lot of times you remember dates. You can remember big, like when you deploy, you almost know the exact date. You know the flight you took. Like, okay, my first deployment, I went from here, then we went to Virginia. We stayed there for a day and a half. Then we went to Germany or England. I can't even remember where we stopped, but I remember stopping somewhere. Um, they didn't let us off the plane. They actually told us just sit here, wait. I think they had to refuel. Next thing you know, I'm in Qatar. I'm like, whoa, like what's going on?
mm.
It's hot. It's August. It's 100 degrees. We unloading bags. And
Yeah,
it's
that did happen. It happened in like
yeah,
labor. We that was labor after being on the plane for hours.
a day in uniform. Like you're in a sweaty uniform. You know what I'm saying? Not knowing where you're going. You have some people that have deployed before, but I don't think any deployment is the same. Just like really no day is really the same in the military. Anything could happen. You're not there to have fun. Like I think a lot of people get it confused and think, yo, in the military, you're seeing the world, you're getting education, you're getting free housing, you're getting free food, you're you're just living this life. It's free healthcare. That is not free. Freedom is not free. And I'll say this loud and proud. Like it's not. And as a veteran, did I lose you? As a veteran, I get to see it from a different side. Like my wife still in your status, still active.
Mhm.
So it's something she deals with. I can slightly relate to, but I know that the military stuff has changed, and not to make this about the military, but that's just part of our lives. Yeah.
It's
So
part of it, and it's how we connect, and
sure.
that's how we find each other. So, like, if we bring it up, it is what it is.
That's
Very much
that's
a part the military is very much a part of both of our lives right now.
yeah,
Like, my husband is
big part.
retired Air Force, so like I think you guys are probably similar in dynamic and roles right
Mhm.
now. Because I'm usually always at work, and he is definitely here for my kids. So, um, I appreciate that.
And I applaud that. I mean,
Yes.
black men, be there for your kids, even if you cannot be there for physically. Your kids need you. Your kids. I've heard the stories. I take care of my kids. I'm there for my kids. I can't be there for my kids. There's different ways you can do it. It's not you're not always gonna have this ideal married married and being. I understand that don't work out all the time, but at least call them. At least let them know how you feel about them. Ask them how they feel about you. Not necessarily like, am I doing a good job, but ask
Right.
them like, you know, You need me to call you a little more? Because I'm pretty sure they're gonna say, yeah, call me more. I will talk to you every day.
Oh, don't even ask, just do it.
Or just do, yeah, but I know that's not as easy for some people.
I know.
I grew up in the situation where my mom and dad never got together. I mean, never married. They had me 17, both of them, and they had to raise me separate. And a lot of it was on my mom to not only raise me, but put me in an environment where other people were raising me, because she had to work, she had to go to school, she had to make things happen. And another full circle story, my dad was actually stationed here because he went into the Air Force. He was stationed at Randolph, and I'm telling my business now, but he was stationed in this area a while back, and I came here with him. Like he drove from South Carolina all the way to Texas. I remember being in the car, and 30 something years later, here I am back here.
And it's like a foreshadowing almost.
You just never know how life can turn out. That's why I try to treat people well. Why I do ask for forgiveness, not for that particularly, but like, because I know how my mind works. I know I can be a little evil with people, and it's not that I'm trying to be evil. It's like sometimes you need to tell people about themselves.
Oh, when they play,
it's like they just need to hear it, because I needed to hear it. Like I said earlier, tell me if my stuff. I'm a Taurus. It's May. Like, tell me about.
I'm not one of those like
astrologist type. Yeah,
I'm not that.
But you can't help it sometimes, because you gotta ask, right? Like I asked you earlier, like, when was your birthday?
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's just more so like similarities, like you kind of tell personalities based upon like when people are born, and that's as far as it goes for me.
If
like
they
if deep,
right, like some people do really with the stones and cards. No disrespect to y'all, but I respect it. That's a lot of. I don't have the capacity for all that, so that's just me. I'll Google and everything, but yeah, but no. I think that only works. It can only be applied if people are who they are. So a lot of people are playing a role, and I say this boldly. Many people are playing a character. So I don't want people feeling like J Wandoe is a character, because that's really me right now. That's who I've always wanted to be. That's the person I was in the club, the person I was when I was in the military, the person I was when I got out. It was always a person that wanted to express himself and say, this is how I feel about you, this is how I feel about the situation. But now I know how to channel it. I can do it on my podcast, or I can do it in a classroom. I can still be who I am without compromising who I want to be. In that phase of life, I was compromising. I was trying to be a chameleon and fit in. I'm with this group of friends this time, and this group of friends don't like each other, but I'm like the peace, not understanding what I was really doing in that sense. Well, what's up? What you got for me?
No, because that's just crazy, because I was like that too.
Yeah, I mean, and that's how we end up kind of linking. It was kind of, this is how I look at it. But as kids, y'all both land in the same hiding spot, and it's like, let's be quiet. Let's sit here and be quiet and not get caught. Well, some people are gonna be like, he right here, or they're gonna try to bump you out of the spot so they can get there. But I think when you have friends and people that you met along the way, y'all can go outside the club or the party and just have a conversation, and y'all be okay with it. Where other people are like, they got a rah-rah party, they got to drink, they got to go hard. I would have the best nights. Hey man, I'm gonna just chill tonight. I'll be like, dang, God, I ain't got no money for one. I don't feel like driving. I don't feel like coming back on, because if I go out, I'm going to drink. That's how I was back then. Like, I'm going to go out. I'm going to get some watered down drinks. Shout out to Rick's. Shout out to Sensations.
Rick. Oh my God.
Shout out to all y'all, man. Shout out to.
It's still like a thing.
It's changed. Several names have changed along the way, but if you were in that Gucci Man, Jeezy, T.I. era, you know about all that, the swag era. We lived through that. Like, kids see it, they do the TikTok dance and all that. We were in the clubs then. I know we showing our age, but that was our era.
Actually dancing.
Yeah.
Not TikTok dancing. We actually was out there. It was just vibe.
It went choreographed. You know what I'm saying? You was stick, like you were. I mean, this is Tallahassee area. This is Jacksonville. This is Atlanta. I don't hear it. I hear about us a little bit in people's like interviews and things, but not understanding. A lot of people came down there. I remember seeing Travis Porter down there. I remember meeting Future. I told this story in my podcast too. I went to a Future performance.
Oh.
And it was Dirty Sprite Future. This is Future before he. Yeah. And I dapped this man up and I told him, good job. I told Future Hendrix, good job. Like on some like who I thought I was back then. Like because the crowd was just not into it. I was mad at the crowd more so because he was up there performing, doing his thing. And I was a fan already. Supporter of his. I listened to Dirty Sprite mixtape and I knew the songs. And it was like a few little murmurs. People knew it, but I didn't feel like he was getting the love he should have gotten. So
and I got him.
And the next time he came, he had dropped the other mixtape, Streets was Watching. I can't remember not Streets was Watching, Streets Calling. I think that's the name of it. Man, he performed at the Palladium. I couldn't even get in. I didn't even want to pay that fee. Like the price that went up, like triple.
What they say today's price is not
that's applied for a long time. So yeah. So but I did meet Dap Up Future, told him, hey man, do your thing out there, bro. Like keep going. I told him keep going. But and obviously
he did.
I promise that
impact.
You never know who you never know. And again, I'm not taking credit. I'm just he was already gonna be who he was gonna be. But
you may not take credit, but
okay.
I'll let you have it.
Oh, I'm with that.
You're the reason for the season.
I feel like I'm supposed to be here right now for this moment. These moments, they're going to be more. They're going to be more interviews. They're going to be more Roe moments, more Doe moments, more Dro moments. These are little time capsules.
Doe and Roe.
Yeah, like we're gonna come back to this next week, next month, next year, and have more to give. And I know this is kind of about me, but I want to know myself, when you came up with the quote unquote idea of this, how long was it before you actually started it? What was that timeline in between?
I want to say.
When do you actually post your first upload?
My first upload was 2021. I want to say I was definitely was in Hawaii at Hickam, but the idea of range of expression or the Roe brand started out of COVID 2020. And everybody was coming up with things.
Man, it was out of nowhere.
A lot of things were birthed out of the pandemic.
Absolutely.
And so
even babies.
And babies. So this was one of them. So range of expression, I was like, yo, the way that I express myself a lot of times is through writing. Because I don't really like to talk much. I know this is girl, you don't like talking, why you got a podcast? Exactly. This is not self-serving. It is not sure. The Lord is making me do this. So anyways, the brand, that's where it started. And I was created the t-shirts and stuff because I was like, yo, I want if you're a poet, I want you to be able to see the not the term, the dictionary words of what a poet is.
Okay.
That way somebody can identify you and be like, oh, you're a poet. Let's work together.
Define what a poet is based on the Webster or the Oxford dictionary. Yes,
the definition of what a poet is, and so it's on the back of these shirts. Okay. And so for
did you make several of them?
I made several of them, and I still have a couple that I need to get rid of, but I stopped for a while. I took a break from making shirts and selling them and stuff like that. But so that
large?
Do I have a large? Yes, I have a large. We can talk offline. but I will gladly provide you a shirt.
All right, cool.
Matter of fact, I'll send it to you for free.
No, I'll pay the shipping at least.
No, no, no. No, I'll send it to you because you asked.
Okay.
So that's where it started. And then I was like, well, so how am I supposed to make the connection of, the brand, my merch, what is it? What is my mission? What do I want to do? Right. And so I was like, well, it'd be cool to do a podcast and then have people on and talk about like their ways of expression and their reasons for their business or the reason why they do their art. Like really get deep down in the depth of the person.
Right.
Because a lot of times you don't really know who's the artist behind whatever or
how they got there.
Who's the business? Like what is the story? What is the story here? Like why did you create said business? And so I want to use this platform to kind of do that and to shed light on that and to give my flowers and kind of like bottle myself up and give it to the world because I'm a supporter by nature. That's what I do.
And that's exactly what mine is. So it's not like I think in the media world, in the big media world, we'll hear a topic, sports, for instance. You got First Take, and you got these other platforms that are like, oh, they copying them. It's like, well, not really. It's just what's popular. It's what's going on. It's the current state of mind. Well, again, like you just explained everything my podcast is. So I just have my audience doing, giving that, and that's exactly what mine consists of. And I actually looking just to verify. I posted my first episode, Who's Wandoe, where I explained this on July 26th of 22. But it was probably like early 22 when I actually broke away and said, I'm gonna go solo. You know what I'm saying? I had to, I know people used to tell me I looked like young Michael Jackson, but I was young Mike, I had to break away. Don't look at it now like, oh, I see it. But I had to break away from
a little bit before he,
for the transformation.
What took over.
Yeah. I had to go through the transformation and say, I'm gonna take all that energy, all this, whatever's in my head. And I was dealing with daddy issues, which it was so good to deal with it, like face it on, talk to my dad, look at him in the face, tell him, you hurt my feelings. I don't like I don't like our relationship like this, where we can't even talk to each other when we going years without having a conversation. Like, what if something happened to one of us? You don't even know me. You know what I mean? I'm your only son by birth that I think. So hope so. I would hope so, being he was so absent. But since then we still don't have the best relationship, but that was a big part of my stopping me from getting to that next level, because I feel like with you having your child's father obviously in the home, you don't have that space of like knowing that he ain't gonna be there. He always showed up. Well, if you have a father or a person in your life who maybe once showed up and then stopped, even in a regular relationship with friendships, we friends with so many people, or we label our friends or our friendship as we're basing it off something. What they did for us, how long we known each other, where we meet, who we met each other through, not understanding like this person they don't even match with you. Y'all don't even vibe well together.
Right.
Yeah, y'all not equally yoked. And friendships work the same way. So breaking off
how you just gonna drop that and
just keep moving? It's just so much. I've always been in the church. I got saved when I was 9 years old. I'm 38 now, and that was a decision I made on my own. My grandma was actually in the hospital. This was at her church at the time, and she was always the one that would take me to church, push me, get me there, had me up there doing Easter speeches. And I'm like you, like this wouldn't have happened maybe 5 years ago. Now y'all got it. I ain't getting on the podcast. I don't want people to see me like how I look, blah, blah, blah. Forget that. We got to get this out of us. We have to express ourselves the way we know how. And that's through service. That's us showing gratitude. It's nothing for us to post our friends' pictures or buy some clothes for them. People we may not even like, but we just want to support them or don't know. We want to support what they have going on, and just not out of like, oh, I did this for you. It's
Right.
like we should be building each
It's
other
a
up.
natural desire to do that.
That's it. And
Yeah.
I look at it like, even if for us, if you never ever touch my podcast, never even search for it, the fact that you have me on to yours gives me that satisfaction. Like, you know what, you ain't got to do it. It's whoever else watches this and say, you know what, let me check this man out. Let me see if he's talking like this in that space, you know. And so and then people want to see if you're gonna keep it up. Because if I start going off track, I start cussing, I start talking about relationships. No shade to y'all, but I don't like it. I don't like these relationship podcasts. I don't care for them. I will listen to them to kind of get a view of what I'm doing, in a sense, like kind of look and see, like, okay,
Now,
why?
why you don't like them?
Because I feel they're very biased. I feel like a lot of people are going off opinion, not fact. And I say fact because they're not talking about their experiences. They're talking about what seems to be the right way. I said earlier, my role as a man almost seems and looks diminished because I'm not the person that's in the military or making this $100,000, which is supposed to be this number that we're supposed to make at a certain time in our life. We got to make 100,000. If we don't make 100,000, we just worthless. Not understanding, like, I feel so much value in just having my kids live with me.
Now, have you always thought like that, or like were you chasing a number or success at some point?
Only time I put
on, and you were like, okay, I may not be, wealthy in, like, let's say monetary or with material stuff, but like I'm rich in the fact that I have a family. I'm in the household with my children. I'm married to my wife. Like those things. Like, at what point did you get to that place?
October 2022, when I had my son. I got married in July of 2017, and from 2017 to then, I had been chasing. Not, it wasn't a number, it's like a status. Chasing a point. Like, my wife would tell you, like, I was always talking about a job. I was talking about paying stuff off. And I used to drive her crazy. It drove me crazy. Because that's all I would talk about. And I wasn't doing anything about it. Like, I was applying for jobs, I was going to school, but I was applying for positions that I really couldn't do. Like, I know when we get out, a lot of people think, oh, go GS. You're going to be a GS 11 or 12 right away. It's like, well, I got out as a staff sergeant. I was never a supervisor like that. Like, I don't have the skill set. Now, if I'd have gone into education first, I probably would have been straight, but I didn't know it. I didn't understand what I was supposed to do at the time because I was so focused on the money.
Right.
So when I had my son, that really brought some things to me. Like, you know what? This is more important to me. This is what I value. He is someone that came into my life to help me. Say, Dad, just take care of me and my sisters and my mama. Like, I felt him talking to me in that way through his life. Like, he wasn't, none of my kids were playing, but like, he wasn't like, oh, we trying to have a baby. His little butt just popped up on Easter. We found out we were pregnant. And it was like, yeah, let me do right by you, whatever that means. And that became a little bad attitude. That became me getting people out of my life that didn't need to be there. Putting, the right people in his life and our lives, because we don't understand. And I know you got something to ask me. I don't want to go too far, but I know we don't think like our moms, grandparents, aunts. They always want to love us, right? We thinking like, oh, they just calling to check on us or whatever the case. But a lot of times they can be distractors or disruptors in your life from what you're really trying to do, because you don't realize how much you're answering the phone or sending them $50 or something. It's like taking money and time and space out of your life and your kids' life. They ain't gonna give it back. I mean, I got a lot of money out there, even if it's $40 and $20 and $10. I don't have one person that can say, Joe owed me some money. Now I might have, like, we went first go half on a bottle or something. Or I've never gotten any money for someone and never gave it back. I can't recall that.
Right. Same.
But
And if I ever borrowed something, I gave it back.
I try to give it right back, or
I'm
not
a,
borrow it.
I most definitely lent money, and I just don't even expect to get it back.
Right.
It's just, it's kind of like I feel like we're similar. Like that's just the way that we're made. We don't really give to, I don't know, like you're in debt to me.
Just tell me just say I need this. Don't even say if you're trying to borrow. Don't give me no date.
Because
Just
words
take
matter.
it. Just take
Words
it.
matter. Just take it.
Just
Just
take
say,
the
hey,
money. I'm
I
gonna
need.
give you what I can afford to give you. It's not gonna stop me from paying bills. But it also, just because I'm giving you the money don't mean I don't need it. Like, I love for you to give it back to me. Like, don't get it twisted. Don't think I'm just like, oh, just keep it. No, give it back to me. But if you're not going to, just that's fine. But it's
Right.
not fine either. Cause now I gotta talk to you and see you take trips and see you go through things, and I don't really like that. So that's where my decision to and then alert. This my decision to get off Facebook recently really came into play, because I see
Oh,
so much going on that I
interesting.
don't like, and I'm like, you know what? Let me just back away.
Let me remove myself from this
I,
space
I,
before I hit somebody's face.
in more of my success is gonna hit you in the face. I don't want you to see it. Don't even see me become. Don't If you want to post this on Facebook and stuff, I don't even want to see it. I want people to just see that I'm still alive. I'm still the guy. God's still working in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, my boy told me, he was like, "So is it like a revenge thing?" And I'm like, I hope it don't seem that way, but it does feel that way. I do feel like I've been shaded a lot of times. It could be something on me. I feel like I didn't give myself a fair shot, but now I'm trying to express myself, and people are like, my reception just based on what I'm seeing, maybe not taking it serious enough. I've given a lot of support and maybe not getting it back the way I want it. So it's like, I'm not upset about it. It's just, well, let me go over here and see if this works for these people. But you're clearly not listening to me, or you didn't see me that, the transformation I was making. You didn't care to ask me how I was doing. So that's fine. So let me go over here and see if it works.
You
Like,
know, like as you were talking, what that kind of remind me of.
mm.
And I'm not trying to like bring everything back to the Bible because it's not like.
Sure,
But
it has to.
but like when Jesus did what he did, he wasn't accepted in his hometown. And so a lot of times the things that we do, or just like putting yourself out there, or like just following your dreams, the people that you love the most will not get it. Like your hometown or your Facebook family, they're not gonna get it.
Sure.
You just gotta believe that like what you're doing is for someone, and it might not be them, and that's
Whatever.
okay.
That's okay.
You just be consistent, and you be committed to getting better and better. Whether it be like, investing in your background,
Right.
or investing in like a better mic, or investing in like a better camera, or whatever the case, like whatever it is that's gonna make you better in this space. Focus on that.
You're missing your calling.
Cool.
You should be doing what I'm doing. You should be in social work or therapy or counseling.
Oh no,
So
no,
it's
no,
just, it's on the way.
no.
I like that. See, and that's you asked about whys earlier. So all of this, even in this conversation, the spiritual part of it, I don't see myself in a pulpit. That's a no. I might be a deacon. I might be in that role, but just on a communal.
Okay, Jonah.
And I know you brought up Jonah again. On a communal space, I'm, we talk about our voices and everything else. I've seen thousands of people. I've met so many different. Like I said, I lived in England, lived in Japan twice, the military. So not only did I meet these people there, I met them from where they're from. I don't meet a person from Jacksonville without being in the military. You're not coming to Florence. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, even if I go visit, right? Even if I go visit Jacksonville, I'm not talking to you in the street. I'm not running into you at the ice cream place or at the what's the place downtown that everybody goes to?
What, the landing?
Like the landing, yeah. I'm not just gonna run into you at a comedy show or something.
It's no longer there, by the
Oh
way.
no. Whoa. I see. Uh, Excuse me, y'all. I've left the States in September of 17. So, and I just got back here in February of 24. So I have been out of the country outside of visits, obviously, but I haven't lived in the country in almost 7 years. So forgive me if I bring something, an old reference up.
It's fine.
But I try to stay tapped in through social media. But yeah, yeah, these don't happen. And our lives are I mean, we're rare people to be able to not only remember certain things, but also deal with our traumas and not the things we had to deal with before we came in, and then the things we're dealing with now, the things we dealt with in the military, the things we deal with spiritually. It's just a war we're constantly going in, but we got to stand up. We got to get up every day and look strong and talk to our kids, even though they like their voices sometimes bother us. And we're like, shut up, but at the same time, if my kid couldn't talk, I feel terrible. If I had to take care of them and spoon feed them, but I don't have that issue. I have beautiful, healthy children. I have a beautiful, my wife ain't that healthy, but she fights through. And I saying it like that. She grew up, she was born with stuff already.
Okay.
She already had things that, same with me, sickle cell trait, I have sleep apnea, certain things I deal with every day that the world don't know unless I speak about it. I just talked to a friend today. He lost a nephew to suicide, and another word that's out there that we stay away from. And all of us, I'm pretty sure, if we don't have those thoughts, someone around us is having them. But we don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to reach the people we need to reach, because we're not really trying to become what we really should. We don't know how to ask God the right questions. We just kind of trying to get out of the month. We're trying to get through the week. Like, what am I supposed to be, God? Like, what am I supposed to do for you? So maybe I had a different answer, but now I'm gonna answer that with my why is because God told me to. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm having this conversation. He told me to. He told me if I want to grow, if I want to become what he wants me to be, I got to do this. I have to talk to people. If I want my voice to be heard, I got to get on the camera more often. Because the longer I stay away from it, I'm gonna fall further and further down the algorithm, out of people's spaces. So like today, I threw up a little, hey y'all, I know y'all not listening to my stuff, but I'm still doing my thing. So whenever I'm speaking this too, when we get on military one source websites, or when we become speakers, I'm not saying this to be like bragging, but it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen in a way you're gonna be like, damn, I should have been supporting them. Again, this is something I already said on my podcast. So I'm just saying it's growing. I'm getting more out there more. You're gonna be on my podcast soon.
I am.
So your face and voice is gonna be out there. So it's gonna be like,
I'm gonna say, what up though?
Yeah, I like that. What up though? And that's funny. That's funny. My boy Hood's from Detroit, and of course in Detroit they use that term. So.
Oh really?
Yeah. What up though?
Oh.
Yeah. No. We'll put that.
I had no idea.
No, because that's another thing too. Like, I host my show, so being a guest is hard.
No, but this is nice because we're having a conversation. So if you want to ask questions, that's fine. Like,
no, I want to answer your questions that you sent me. Conversation. That's a good word.
Conversation.
No, and I said that because how often are we actually having conversation? Now, a lot of us talk, a lot of us are scrolling, but we're not really, because all we're looking at is the edited version, the highlights, the funniest moments, the viral moments. But what are we missing? And that's one part of it. The other part is us being parents. We got children who are in the same mental space. Mm-hmm. At least we kind of have a past. Their past was us. Like, and I know that sounds weird, but all they know is like the military life. All they know is big house or a nice house and certain types of friends who kind of are the same type of kid, where we didn't really have that. For me, I grew up in the country. And for those who don't know about South Carolina, at least the PD area, closer to the beach area of South Carolina, it can get very country. Cotton fields, cornfields, chickens, hogs, squirrels, people eating raccoon or coon as they call it, pig's feet,
You eat that?
pickle pig. No, I don't eat that. Trust
Oh,
me. It's
okay.
just it's around me. I'm surrounded by it. Um, Grew up in the late '80s, early '90s, and so um, playing basketball on dirt courts. Growing like, hey, not being able to go outside, you probably dehydrated, you don't even know it, you know, you get water out of the spigot, you know what I'm saying, or the
Hey, that was
water
the best
hose.
water. I don't
Yeah,
know.
tell
That
me.
was nice water.
It takes 30 minutes for it to get cold, but once it finally got cold,
That thing was hitting. It was
yeah,
hitting.
because you were dying. Your body was about to shut down. It was
You're right.
hot. Yeah.
You couldn't come inside. You had
No.
to be outside.
You come inside, you stay inside. And you
That's
smelling like outside. Rain. You go wait under the tree until it's over.
our kids will never know.
Never.
No.
My 1 year old came in the house today. It started to drizzle. He ducked, and he don't usually run like that because he's still trying to get his feet under him. He ran like I see him kick his legs up and run in the house. I'm like, boy, again, he was raised in England. He's raised in this gloomy, no sun environment. Hardly ever went outside. Now he's in his Texas weather. He's growing. He's glowing. He's
Temperature
talking. It's like
scales
he's like,
up.
and so I'm going through the same thing. But the conversation,
Yeah.
we got talked to a lot. I don't know about you. Like I feel like that era, our parents and grandparents would talk to us. They wouldn't ask us what you want to eat today, or how you doing today. How your how did yesterday go for you? Um, what can we work on today?
You
What can
know,
we?
I didn't get talked to like that. Well, actually, my dad, when he was like present in my life, like he was like literally the only adult that would like talk to me and have conversations. That was early on in my childhood. So like that's kind of what I expect in my relationships. It's just like communication is like a huge thing for me. And not like romantically, but I'm talking about like with my friendships and even my associations. Like I can't do surface level
No
conversation.
small talk.
Can't.
Get Charlemagne's book about small talk.
Huh. Charlemagne the God.
That's us.
Hmm.
Leonard McKelvey. Let me find it real quick. Well, go ahead. I'm listening.
No, I'm saying like I just wanted to put my little two piece in there about like
Sure.
conversation and communication is
Yeah.
definitely
Plug
key.
plug that in. I'm on chapter 8, but I had to go back a couple chapters to catch up. But I'm on chapter 8 now.
Okay, but
Yeah, check that out. I have Audible and I get a free credit every month, so it was definitely worth it.
mm-hmm. But yeah, conversation in itself is a lost art. And I think people's attention spans aren't that long. And sometimes I think people like when they're talking, they don't really listen to what you're saying because they're waiting to
Respond. They're not actively listening. They're not using active listening skills, which is something what therapy, counseling, so sociology. If you into any of that stuff, that's what you learn. Yeah.
I mean all that.
Yeah, that's what you learn.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that you can't talk or you can't, but answer the question. And I try not to do that. If I do, tell me. But like, address what was said first. Then you can talk about what you want to talk about, or make what you're talking about correlate to that thing the point you're trying to make. Because some people, and I've done it obviously, but I've done it a lot. But I'm learning not to. But when people say something, they'd be like, and even if they don't say but, they have to tell you their point instead of confirming or affirming with you. Okay, I heard you. Okay, I'm listening to you, because people say, I hear you, I heard you, I heard you. Like, did you hear me? Well, I was listening to you, but I was doing something else. So let's be honest. So, I get it.
Yeah.
What's your theme for this year? I've had two themes. One I can think of right off the top of my head, but because I kind of go into every year with a theme, like something I'm going to stick to. One of my themes was lead with that. I've always want people to like if you want something from me, just go ahead and say it. I kind of alluded to that earlier. If you need some money, don't ask me how my day was. Don't talk about how your kids. Hey man, I'm hurting right now. I need 400. Cool. Now, everything okay with you? I mean, you can ask that in any order, but if you need something or I miss you or I want to talk to you about something, don't start, hey man, where you been, bro? Like, where you been? No, say I miss you.
Yeah, you did
Say
mention that earlier on
a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so lead with that. This is for everyone that may hear this, the 5 of you or 30 or however many people hear it, that see it. By missing that piece of communication, you're doing yourself an injustice. I'll say that again. By not telling people what you want from them, you're doing yourself an injustice. And I'm not saying this as I know what I'm doing. I'm telling you this because I have failed to. I failed to really give people what I wanted from them, or ask people what I wanted from them. Even me and Ro, new interaction. Hey man, here's my email. Here's my number. So let's make this happen. Now we have been chatting for a couple of weeks up until that point, but I had to know I was ready. I could carve out time in my space, in my day, in my life, in my head before I even knew she was down for that. So, so that's one. Another one was, and I probably got it written down somewhere. But if you can come up with yours, that might refresh my memory. So what?
If I had to have a theme, two things. Being intentional.
Being intentional is good.
And being consistent, because I have a problem with that. I have a problem with being consistent. I can be transparent on here and say that. So like those have been my two focus areas, if you want to say it that. I wouldn't say necessarily say like things, but like it's definitely something that I realized, okay, I need to like really focus in on being intentional with my time.
And so this is for you personally, like you want to be intentional. So mine is more so how I want to be treated. I think like, because I've always allowed people to basically put me where they want to put me. Because I don't care that much. I'll just go with you. I'll drive. I'll pay for it. I wouldn't hold people accountable. And one of my best friends, my brother, told me that, like, you don't hold me accountable. And I'm just like,
dang,
I don't.
He said, you don't hold. Hey man, you don't hold me accountable. Like,
yeah, unlike someone else. But I'm like, if you really if I told you what I really thought about certain situations, we wouldn't be talking. Because I would be so honest and blunt with you, you wouldn't want to hear it. You wouldn't be able to receive it. And it showed up that way. Like, we haven't talked. And it's just a matter of knowing what you can receive from a certain person. Because I could tell you something, long friendship, longevity, and it'd be like taken a certain way, not a bad way. But someone else can tell you that, and you like, no, you didn't. You that's what it is. Some people have the audacity. So many people, they really, and I'm pointing this finger like my pastor does at church. Because he loves to tell people, like, he brings up pornography, he brings up things like that in church. He'd be like, you better get out of there. You better. It's so funny because I can feel the conviction with people, and it may not be that itself, but I know people have done things. The people that you see in suits and and I've done my things. I've done my things all the time. But like telling people, you better, because he can come in anytime. He can snatch you up, and what you gonna do? But again, another conversation. But yes, what I say?
You was talking about
the audacity, because people be trying us, bro. People really try us. They think we don't hear them. The undertones, the distance, and they come back, hey, popping up. Stop treating me like that. gotta tell people, I don't like that. I don't like how you treated me. I had to tell my mom this stuff yesterday. Like, if you calling back to your small talk, call with some conversation. She's like, well, so you don't want me to call you? And I'm like, well, I ain't saying that.
I did see you post something
on my notes.
Yeah, and I was like,
that felt personal.
Did you see my? I definitely said yes. This is what I'm talking about. Yes.
It's human nature, and I'm not speaking on this of like, oh, I go through this or whatever. I just know without people having to tell me, because I see it. I see the patterns, and maybe some people may not express the way they see it. So that's another thing.
Don't you kind of hate that though? It's like a gift and a curse to like see and feel things and
prophesizing.
I hate it. I mean, I love it.
Sure.
I hate it.
It's a lot. It's a lot to bear.
Ignorance is bliss sometimes. I want to be in bliss.
I know people be like, shut up, don't tell that story. Why would you say that? I'm that person in class to be like, the answer is B. Or anybody else got a question? Yes.
You're the person during staff meeting.
Staff meeting, holding people up.
Any other questions or any inputs?
Because y'all gonna keep asking us, do we have questions? Yes, I do have a question. Like, I just got one. Because they're gonna ask who got one. It's one question. All right, yes. You in the back. Sir, ma'am, staff sergeant, Mr. whatever. And that's gonna make them feel validated. Because it's like, I've done that several times. I've done it as an airman. I've done it as a spouse, like after I got out. So and I don't feel bad about it. Because I got us up out of there. If y'all wasn't gonna say nothing, so let me take the bullet in a sense. Like let me take that hit. And I know people have taken hits from me. But that's really what I aim, and I understand. We're not Martin and Malcolm and Shirley, but we can be in their place. We can be something like them, and maybe our impact is something major. It's just so much other things are pushed ahead of us, in front of us. Our friends don't support us like they probably should and could. To be honest, they're stuck in the social media mind and watching dances and listening to things that probably don't even apply to them at all. But they can't get away from it.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does. But I try not to take it personal. And just kind of continue on and just focus on the fact that you're doing whatever, but there's like, it's for somebody, and it may not be them.
Sure.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
And that's okay.